Is there a time that's too early to drink when you're in quarantine? Because if there is, I don't know what it is. Hey, howdy, welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to do my May wrap-up because I read some books. If you'll remember from my May TBR, I did a special thing this month where I read only true crime and murder books. Let's get into it. First book that I read this month was an audiobook, actually. I listened to it, and it was Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. I thought this book was really good. I'm not usually big into self-help books, or like things that are classified as self-help books. I'm also not real big on positivity, so I wasn't really sure how I was gonna feel about this book, but I actually found myself really enjoying it. She's just such a smart lady. There's a lot of things she says where I'm just like, yeah, that makes total sense. That is totally what that is. I think she just really is able to put the human condition into words. I wrote down in my notes that it is a book of stuff you needed somebody to tell you. Like stuff that you should know, but you needed somebody to say, hey, this is why you do this. And then you're like, oh, I get it now. It talks a lot about feeling your feelings, which is hard for a lot of people. Not necessarily for me. I find that I feel too many feelings all the time, so opposite. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is Mindhunter by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker. This book is about the FBI's elite serial crime unit. I would consider this book a great beginner's guide to true crime. This book has all the heavy hitters in it. It's got the Atlanta child murderer, it's got Ed Kemper, it's got Charles Manson, it's got all those people that you think of when you think true crime or when you think serial killer. It's got a lot of information and insider, like genuine personal connection with those cases. I think it's really good for if you're just starting to get into true crime and you aren't really sure what to read. I would definitely recommend this. Personal experiences of John Douglas just really make the book really engaging and exciting. I gave Mindhunter 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I read Chase Darkness With Me by Billy Jensen as an ebook. This book was overall pretty good. It wasn't super long. I know that it was like an Audible exclusive, an Audible original, so it was originally produced as an audiobook. It felt rushed to me a little bit, and so I don't know if it being originally an audiobook has anything to do with that. But obviously Billy Jensen is first and foremost a writer before he solves crimes, so his writing is really good and clear. I gave Chase Darkness With Me 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read this month was My Friend Dahmer by Derf Backderf. This is a graphic novel about Jeffrey Dahmer's life, about his time in high school and middle school. And I don't think I had this book when I did my TBR, so I'll show you guys. Ooh, ah. What I love most about this book is the art style is so creepy. Like, it's not necessarily creepy, it's just uncomfortable. It just fits the story and the scene and the setting so well. I gave My Friend Dahmer 5 out of 5 stars. Next book I read, I actually listened to because it was another audiobook. It was Bad Blood by John Carreyrou, which is a book about a company called Theranos that was originally created as a blood testing company, and basically the idea was that you would do like a little pinprick in places like CVS or Walgreens or grocery stores, and then you would be able to get blood test results from just that little amount of blood without having to go to the doctor. It was a giant scam. It was a huge scam, and I was shocked by just how easy it was for them to get around the regulations that are in place. Like, there is not nearly enough. I mean, maybe there is now. This book took place a while back, but I was truly shocked at just how easy it was for them to fool everybody. This one woman, basically, she fooled her entire company. She fooled all the people that were working with her, her investors, like everybody believed her. And it got to a point where they were like ready to release it until they found out, oh wait, this isn't really real at all. The one complaint I would have, which I can't really hold against the book, is that it was really sciencey, which is to be expected with the subject, but I personally found some parts of it hard to understand. I gave Bad Blood 3 out of 5 stars. I had a lot of 3s and 4s this month. A very mediocre month in terms of rating. The next book that I read was Let the Great World Spin by Colin McCann. It was the only book that I read that wasn't a true crime book. I found it a little bit hard to get into in the beginning because you're following so many different storylines. I definitely get why this book won the National Book Award. It has a lot of literary merit. It's very beautiful. The descriptions of New York are incredible. There are literally some characters where you only hear about them for one chapter, but you still connected to them, which is really impressive, I think, and hard to do as an author. Some of the storylines did still seem unnecessary, like there was one chapter in specific that I was like, why? Overall, I gave Let the Great World Spin 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read the last book on the left by Marcus Parks, Ben Kissel, and Henry Zabrowski. This, like I said in my TBR, this is the book form of the podcast, Last Podcast on the Left, and it definitely is the book form. Like, I found this incredibly hard to rate because I did really enjoy it. The illustrations are really funny and the whole book is really funny, but it is essentially just the podcast in book form. So if you're gonna go for one or the other, I would say definitely listen to the podcast, and you could skip out on the book and still get the same stories. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The last book that I read this month, I'm ending on a bit of a downer because I did not like it a ton, but I read The Girl on the Velvet Swing by Simon Batts. This book is about the murder of Stanford White. What I thought of this book was that men are assholes. That's literally what that was my takeaway. Is that men in the early 1900s, not great people. Like, I didn't really care that the guy that got murdered. I didn't really care that the guy that got taken to jail got taken to jail. Neither of them seemed very just in their actions, and they both seemed like they were real shitty towards women. So it is an interesting story for sure. It has pictures of like the early 1900s, which are fun to look at. I gave Girl on the Velvet Swing 3 out of 5 stars as well. That's pretty much all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you are all staying safe and healthy. I will see you next time. Goodbye.